Mr. Holland. I have a class project. I am in Mr. Wall's class.
Great, I know Mr. Wall very well.
Yeah,
Good to talk to you, Sean.
He said that you came in last year.
This is true, I did.
Class.
Yeah, I did. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Mr. Holland, I would like to thank you for talking to me, taking the time to meet me today.
No problem, happy to do it.
My first question for you today was there something specific that inspired your decision to make a career in politics?
Yeah, you know, I don't know really why I decided that politics was for me. I think I was even younger than 12, maybe 10 or even 8 when I decided I really wanted to get involved in politics. And for me, it was, I think, the idea that I could make a difference, you know, that I could change things. And I actually volunteered in my first campaign when I was 12 years old. And I had a lady named Nora Stoner, who was the candidate here in the riding was called Durham West at the time, who was really nice to me, who you know, showed me around, explained to me how the process worked, and I volunteered with her, and I got an opportunity to meet David Peterson at the time, who was then running for premier, and it was really exciting, and she ended up winning, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. I found her to be, you know, a really amazing person, and she helped a lot of people, and she clearly cared a lot about her community, and that's something that I wanted to do too.
My second question for you today is, what advice would you give a young person about the steps they should take if they too are interested in being a politician in the future?
Sure, that's a great question. Well, I think the first thing you got to do is to get involved. You know, choose the things that you really care about. And even at a young age, get involved in volunteering and helping out in your community, finding out about the things that really you care a lot about. Because eventually when you run for political office, you got to do it on the basis of the things you're passionate about, you really care about. I think the real trick to politics is being sincere, right? Is when people can see that you really care about something and it really matters to you and you really want to make a difference, then people respond well to that. And so it's important to show that you've been involved and that you care and that you've done work in the issues that you care about, and that your interests are really genuine. And so, you know, just keeping at the heart that that's really what this is about. It's a chance to make a difference, to make an improvement, and that should be reflected not just when you run for office and when you're a politician, but also before and after.
If you had to choose, what the top 3 items would you have on your list to make happen in your current term as Ajax Pickering's Member of Parliament?
Sure, well, locally, I'd love to see the lands that we have in North Pickering be protected. I'd like to see a decision be made to not proceed with an airport in Pickering, to protect the heritage that's there and protect the homes that are there. Locally as well, you know, we need more infrastructure. It's very hard for people to get around in Ajax Pickering. We've kind of been shortchanged on the amount of money that's been put into transportation, not just roads, but also in terms of rail and other options. So it's hard for folks to get around. We got to get that fixed, and the federal government has to be a partner in it. We need to help the municipality create something that's more sustainable, so people can live and work and play in the same place. Right now, we kind of have everybody leaving at one time in the morning and everybody coming back at one time at night. And that's not very sustainable. We need to find a way to both for people's quality of life and for the environment and for a whole other number of reasons, try to get people to have that collectively for them. So locally, those are my priorities, and obviously nationally there's a whole lot more, but locally those would be the biggest things.
Thank you. Are you interested in being a cabinet minister? And if so, what department do you think you would like to specialize in?
Sure. So right now I'm the critic for public safety and national security. That means I'm in the Liberal Party's shadow cabinet. So we have basically like a mirror cabinet for the Conservatives that where I criticize the minister and say how we would do things differently. And so for me, public safety and national security is an area I know really well. It's an area I have a lot of strong feelings about. So that's an area that I would be interested in being a minister in. That would be my greatest interest, to be a minister of public safety and national security. The reasons why, aside from having a clear idea of what I'd want to change, it's involved in so many different areas. So it's involved in prevention, about trying to help people before they go down the wrong path. It's about people who've made mistakes in our correction system and trying to find ways to make them better, about dealing with mental health issues and addiction issues. So there's a lot of helping people involved in that and making sure that they've got a bright future. It also deals with our national police force, the RCMP, and there's a lot of changes that need to happen in that organization, and I'd like to be part of it for that. It deals with Canadian, our spy agency, CSIS, and there's a lot of changes that need to happen there, and also with our border, and with issues like terrorism and national security, where I have a lot of different ideas. So for me, those are that's the portfolio I'd be most interested in.
I know that Stephen Harper, our Canadian Prime Minister, along with the Conservative Party from the current federal government. Since you're from the Liberal political party, I'm wondering if you could tell me about some of the challenges that you face being part of the opposition.
Yeah, that's a great question, Sean. It's tough being in opposition, right? Because you don't get an opportunity to change things as much as you'd like. So the parts of my job I really like is when I get to stand up and fight for something that I care about. I led the efforts to save the gun registry. That mattered a lot to me when we were able to win that. I'm leading our efforts to try to show a different way of how to deal with crime, as I said, which is really important to me because I don't want to see us make the same mistakes that California and the United States did. But at the same token, when you're in opposition, you have to be respectful of the fact that you're in opposition, and so you don't always get your way. In particular, sometimes you see ideas that you really think are bad ideas or wrong ideas get approved, and that can be frustrating. And it also can be frustrating when you think you have ideas that you'd really want to change and do, and you can't do them. And so you have to sort of sit and watch them not get done.
I keep hearing about a massive international airport that may be built in Pickering. I am told that you oppose it. My question is why so many people that live around here have no clue about it when it will affect everyone here in Durham.
Sure. Well, I think the reason more people don't know about it is because it's going on so long, right? I mean, this was 40 years now. The debate's been going about whether or not we have an airport in North Pickering. And so I think people kind of get, bored of the debate because it just keeps going on and on and on, and it looks like a decision will never be made. But the truth is now that there's been a needs assessment done, and they're hiding the needs assessment, that we're not too far away, I think, from a decision being made. And we have to make sure the right one is made. In my mind, there's no business case for an airport in North Pickering right now. We have Toronto International at Pearson, which is way under capacity and heavily under debt for the expansion it took. You've got Toronto Island Airport, which is expanding its services and being well used, but still can grow a lot more. And you have Hamilton, which wants to grow an enormous amount. So I think when we think of infrastructure, we can't just think about gray infrastructure. We have to think about green infrastructure. And we have to think about protecting lands that can produce food and provide recreational opportunities and provide open space that is near to us. And it's pretty incredible for the GTA to have so much green space right next to it. And if you were to take the Oak Ridges Moraine and the Rouge along with the airport lands, you're talking about the world's largest urban park. So it's a pretty incredible opportunity, and I think that we shouldn't be short-sighted with things like that and recognize that there's an important place for green infrastructure as well.
Finally, I will be 10 years old in 2 months. Can anyone, even somebody my age, really make a difference? If so, what steps would I take if I wanted something like a law changed or created or taken away?
Yeah, well, I think that's an important question, Sean, because you can really be involved in changing the world around you at just about any age. And at the age you're at, you can volunteer, you can phone people who are elected and tell them your ideas, you can write letters, and so there's a lot of ways that you can change the world around you. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that happens out there is that people get a sense that they're powerless, that they don't have any ability to really change things. But you know, I say if I get 10 people who call me on an issue, that's a lot of people. Right? I talk to members of parliament from all parties, and they'll say, wow, I've gotten so many calls on this issue. I say, how many? 5. Right? And it's because I get hundreds of phone calls, but they're all people who want help with problems they have. Most of the calls that I get are about those kinds of things. It's actually pretty rare that I get phone calls from people saying they have an idea or something they want changed. So if you're willing to take the time to make a phone call or write a letter, send an email, it can have a big impact. And so it doesn't matter how old you are. I think it's taken seriously. You can make a big difference by talking to other people and trying to convince them of your ideas, right? You can make a big difference by getting involved in a local organization that does volunteer work. And so there's a lot of ways, even when you're about to be 10, where you can change the world around you. And that's pretty exciting once you realize that's the case.
And one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in changing climate change?
Definitely. That's, I think, one of the biggest issues facing us. It's an issue that is difficult because it's not easy to fix. But you know, I think Canada needs to be a leader in the world. We can't wait around for other countries to come. It's not fair to say to China or India, well, you guys have got to do it before we're going to do anything, or to lecture them about being clean and not find solutions ourselves. But frankly, it's not just about the environment in my mind. It's not just about trying to protect the atmosphere that we have and the one planet that we have. It's also about the fact there's a tremendous opportunity. You know, when oil goes, the thing about oil is it makes an enormous amount of money, but it does it for a very small group of people. The next technologies, the next industries that will drive change in technology have the potential to create an enormous amount of wealth for a very large group of people. And so if we're involved in creating post-carbon technologies, if we're involved in finding replacements to oil, in their Canadian solutions with Canadian companies, it's going to mean a lot of jobs, it's going to mean a lot of economic growth and a lot of prosperity. So not only is it good for the planet, but if we do it right, it's also going to be good for us economically.
Those are all the questions I have for you, Mr. Holland. Once again, I would like to thank you for letting me interview you. I know you have a very busy schedule. I think it's important that you are so involved in the community, and I think you are a special politician to take the time to meet with kids like you have today.
Thanks, Sean. I really enjoyed it. Great talking with you.